been lurking in them waters for over 20 years. I remember Daddy talking about him back when I was just a kid. He liked hanging around those big old stumps, and he's slippery as a snake. If you're man enough to hook him, you'd be the king of Carter's Lake.
Hey guys and girls, fishermen, fisherwomen. It's old Marty O'Morgan here. And man, I caught a nice little mess of catfish last night. Just the right size. Man, you talk about eating size. This is the ideal size for eating. There's one I've already skinned out. And today I'm just going to show you my version of how to skin a catfish. So for those of you who don't know how to skin a catfish, I'm sure there's better ways, but this way works just fine for me. Take a good sharp knife and you slice the skin right back here behind. You see right here, I've nailed his head to this plank to hold him in place. That was a trick my Uncle Rick taught me. My Uncle Rick Morgan, first person who ever taught me how to clean a catfish. I nail his head to that plank, and this works especially well with great big old catfish. You get a bigger nail, of course, but if you'll slice this area here and then make you a little slice right around that upper fin, that'll help you get a hold of some of this skin and start the process. And I'm just going to show you what that basically looks like. So you get your pliers on that skin. Sometimes it's hard to get a hold of, especially if your skin's got some excess muckety muck in it. And this one I cut the meat up a little high, so I'm gonna have to do a little repair there. Now you pull the skin back, and a lot of times it'll come off in a whole piece, and sometimes you have to go at it. But there's a good example. And so I'll finish skinning him out, and see that side, I still got to get that skin off. I'll get him down to where he looks like that, or that one. Now I got 3 of them nailed to this board, and when I get them all skinned out, then I will cut them into little steaks, and I'll show you that. So after my catfish are all skinned, or at least 3 of them, and these are great size eating catfish, take a good sharp knife, and there's a place right there behind his head you can kind of miss the skull, and you go right in there. You see how that went through there pretty easy? And then you want to turn your angle, knife angle like so, and you can cut this bottom fin plate out here as well, and then go ahead and finish gutting him. So once your catfish is gutted and you cut his head off and so forth, you end up with something about this size, about like that. And my favorite thing to do is just, you might want to roll it, make the cut a little easier. Cut it in steaks about that size. Rise up really nice that size. That one's so young and tender I didn't need to go through it twice. I'm going to cut this fin off. Sometimes I don't, and sometimes I do. But in this case, I'm going to cut that fin off, and I'm going to cut one more little steak on this guy, and then just leave that little tail piece to fry. If you've never eaten the fried tail of a catfish, you let them get really good and crispy. It's like a delicacy in my book, man. If you're eating fried fish at my house and you reach over and try to take my older sister Candy's fried fish tail, right in the old hand, buddy, she'll get you She does not mess with people messing with her fishtails. Now, for the record, they make a better tool for this. It's actually called a frog skinner, I think. But if you can get a decent pair of pliers with a good, solid grip up here, that's about all you really need. And or a pair of channel locks, either way. And what you're going to do is, just like I said earlier, just grab a hold of that skin, grip it as tight as you can in your pliers, and fold it away. Just as a little warning, I was taught this all my life about catfish. These little sharp fins right here on his, I don't know what you call these fins, if they're called I don't know what these side fins are, but that one right there, and this one up here I guess it's his dorsal fin. Man, I tell you what, when they're alive and they're flopping around on you, trying to get the hook out of their mouth, you want to avoid those things. I've never got stuck by one, but that's only because I've been careful all my life. My Uncle Rick swore to me that I would not forget it if I ever really got a good puncture from one of those catfish tips on the ends of those sharp fins. So be careful with those suckers. Whether they're dead or alive, they can still put a little hurt on you. As you can see, my pile of catfish guts is getting pretty large. And I can tell you right now, my next door neighbor, Kenneth, will be, as soon as I text him and say, hey Kenneth, I've got some guts for you, I'll put them in a bag and hang them on the fence post. He'll be over here, because nothing quite feeds a garden like fish guts, fish tails, fish heads. You can put them in vegetable gardens, or particularly rose bushes. Old friend of mine, elderly black lady, used to beg me for my fish heads and fish guts for her roses. There you have it. It's hard to find the sweet spot right here in the back of his skull, but it's right in here somewhere. Ah! Come on. Would pick the one fish that doesn't have a... So you get that nail started right in there somewhere, and you want to just drive it down enough to where it'll hold him onto the board, so you don't gotta hold him with your hand. He's slick, and the whole time he'll be sliding out of the way.
Put him on the wall. Waxworms, redworms, salamanders, crickets, buzzbaits. Would you take a gander at the ripple in the water when he rolls and when he turns?
Steak, so here's pretty much how you handle this piece. You just come up in here with a pair of snips, and you cut that bone right there. You can hear it cut away. Go up in there another time if you can. Then you can pull this piece out with your pliers. Hopefully come out.
Waxworms, redworms, salamanders,
chunk.
crickets, buzzbaits. Would you take
down
a
there like
gander
that.
at the ripple in the water when he rolls?
So this guy's ready to be cut up.
He's been lurking in them waters for over 20 years. I remember Daddy talking about him back when I was just a kid. He liked hanging round those big old stumps, and he's slippery as a snake.